And we're going to ascertain visitors and members, and we're going to start to my immediate left, last row with Mr. Jim Rowe. Oh, I'm sorry, Myron. We'll come back to Mr. Rowe is eating. Yeah. Oh, everybody's eating? Jim Rowe. Go ahead.
Myron Riley.
You got to speak into the mic, Porter.
Myron Riley, Kankakee County Jail Ministry, state employee.
The mic.
Rhonda Showers, Mental Health Network and People's Church.
Donna Sample, Option Center for Independent Living.
Don, we can't see you behind the pole.
I know, that's on purpose.
Yeah. You might need to move over to 38 there. One suit over. You're right in there. Yeah.
Okay, Debbie Case, St. Mary's Community Outreach and NAACP Executive Committee.
Bailiff Courthouse, Kankakee. Barber, Chief of Bradley, PD.
Good afternoon, Marianne Berg, Indian Oaks Academy in Manteno, Illinois.
Donnell Austin, Kinky Police Department.
Aaron Harsey, District 21 Commander. Jose De Jesus, District 21 Operations Officer.
Chris Breach, the Daily Journal.
Lori Gadboy, Executive Committee, NAACP.
Steve Hunter, NAACP, First Vice President, Hispanic Partnership, also a member of the County Board.
Monica Pisano, Real Estate Agent with Bethlehem Real Living Realty, and Second Vice Chair for KCHP.
Natalie Ojeda, President of Hispanic Partnership and Program Director at Joint Union and Regional Family Services.
Jonas Case, President, Kinky County Branch, NAACP.
Chad Gessner, Chief, Kankakee County Sheriff's Office.
Mason.
Lieutenant Mason, Bradley PD.
Okay, Lieutenant Mason,
Well, there's not. I think there's not a lot to read our notes anyway. Do you want me to do?
Okay, so as far as notes go, I apologize in advance because I didn't print them off, or I thought they were on the thumb drive, but the brief synopsis of what we discussed was, and we'll get into the training for the Kinky County Community Crisis Response Team that we had, 2 days of training, Thursday and Saturday at KCC. I did hand out created a survey monkey and handed out to everybody that was participated, whether it was the attendee or the actual presenters, to get feedback from ourselves as well. So I'll save that for the actual presentation. It was a good turnout. It was a goal that we've been trying to get for a long time. It was successful. Obviously, with anything new, there was a lot of tweaking that we need to do for the future. So we appreciate the honest feedback, because that's the best feedback. Probably some suggestions, breaking it up into a couple days, or we haven't discussed formally what we're going to do yet. But I don't think there's a whole lot that can be omitted. But for time constraints, means everybody has other jobs and things going on. Probably split it up into 2 different days. It's the majority of the response. That being said, if you want me to go through it real quick, there's like 8 to 10 questions. We had the free survey monkey because it costs a lot of money to buy it nowadays than what it used to be. So
You could probably hear me. If you guys can't hear me, let me know, or do you need that to record?
You
want to read it?
Yeah, if you can.
So we'll operate from either.
Yeah, right here.
Can you see from this screen here, or the one to my immediate right and the one to my left here?
Chad, is the wireless mic up there somewhere? The wireless? Oh.
Myself.
I'm sorry, can you into the mic? No.
I'm Brittany Ringo. I'm with Riverside Behavioral Medicine. I'm their liaison.
Okay, Lieutenant, going to give the update from the survey that we actually was taken after the 18th and 20th training. So.
All right, so like I said, there were just a few questions. Each slide basically represents a question. A couple of them are more of a video slide because you actually had to scroll to get all the results. But so question 1 was the actual questions from the survey. It was overall, how would you rate the training? And it was overwhelmingly excellent. As you can see, like 53.33 said excellent, and then 40% was very good. 6.67% said good. And question 2, what did you like about the training? So overall concept, so this was one you put in your own comments, it was free form. So we had everything from overall concept to actual crime scene videos, because it showed what real life was, and I know it was kind of brutal for the crime scene, or for the actual, they were Axon or Taser videos. So like Lieutenant Basin said, they weren't meant to offend anyone, but it was a real deal of what goes through with actual body camera on an officer at the different scenarios that you guys watch, versus sometimes the media kind of paints a different picture of what that is. Openness of the presenters, trainee participation. Some of the other things that were mentioned was the simulator, the Milo simulator that we used, 2 different days. I think if we spent more, my own personal opinion, because I ran people through the second time, or the second day on Saturday, is to have more time doing that, because that's really, when I walked people out from that, when we took a break and then went back to presenting, I was asking the different groups, what was your first impression? And a lot of them, it was a whole different perception, or a whole different viewpoint of what actually happens when you have to sit there and hold a simulator. One girl didn't even want to hold the gun, but I'm glad I kind of eased her. It wasn't a real gun, obviously it was a simulation, but she was shaking when I handed it to her, but she went up there and she did great. But it's the whole purpose of that is to open up your eyes to what you see. You know, from that short time frame that you got to make a decision of whether you're going to shoot, don't shoot, or you know, some of them were designed that they look like you're going to shoot, and if you were watching earlier, then when you go to pull your gun out and the guy turned around, he's got a cell phone. That's really what happens in a lot of scenarios. So I wouldn't skip that. I'd probably try to make that a little bit longer so everybody can go through 2 or 3 scenarios, because they change all the time. What did you dislike about the training? That was question 3. This was kind of, we knew this going into it after day 1, because we were over, what were we the first day? Like 40 minutes, 50 minutes or something. So then we tried to obviously do better on the second one, but what would you cut out? So overall it was well, one thing on here, and this is true, a low community turnout, way too long, the time constraints. Like we all said during classes, an 8-hour class at least, too long, lengthy. That's pretty much all everybody said, is it was just too long. And they weren't saying long as in, at least what I interpreted and talked to people, was that it was too long that they had to take something out, because really the longest part was when Lieutenant Basin went through the use of force, and he had to basically explain to a common person that doesn't know anything about law enforcement what use of force is, what we're restricted to do, what we can do, and then Jim Rowe actually presented the new law, which was just now passed, the House Bill 3653, puts a lot more restraints on everything. So I think you can't really take that out of there, because you lose a lot. The videos are very impactful because it shows you that part, and then we walked into the simulator, those that wanted to do it, and actually got to participate and be that person with that new information. Question 4, how organized was it? Extremely organized, very organized, somewhat organized, not too organized, and not at all. So at least we nailed that one. It was either very organized or extremely organized, which took a lot of planning. As we said, what we're, the oldest 2-3 years in the making of just getting to the point where we wanted. When we finally got the committee together, and then the training committee, and then started contacting people, was at least another year from that point on. Was the training length too long, too short, or about right? Well, obviously, I knew this one had to be in there because we had the answer, but looking for suggestions. Too long was the main thing. About right was about, 26%, but 46 said too long, and much too long was another 13. So you had almost 60% that said it was too long for one day. What suggestions, if any, would you recommend? So this is an important one because this comes from the actual people in attendance. Community outreach to get more residents involved. The training was effective, more hands-on training for the trainees. So I look at that kind of like you do with the new recruit that comes out of the academy. You get all that, you get the 14 weeks, you get the 12 weeks, but then when you come back, you go through your FTO, and when you think you're ready, you're still not ready, because when you get that first, oh crap moment when you're out there, then you see what you really got to know in a short time. So I agree, you guys need more training. We have to figure out from that direction what we're going to do. And then question 7, do you feel the instructors had knowledge on their subject presented? Yes or no? 100% said yes. Your knowledge gained from this training can be applied to your role as a member of the KCC CRT. Strongly agree was 73%, and then somewhat agree was 6%, and agreed was 20%. And then just general comments is how we wrapped it up. Like I said, we were only limited to 9, otherwise you had to pay like $40 a month. I wasn't doing that. I love the class. It helped me with my fear of firearms. Thank you for that. This is the person I was probably telling you, because it's all anonymous. Not only was the knowledge I gained help with my role as part of the KCC CRT, but also in my everyday life as community outreach nurse to help educate my community. God bless our police force every day. Next comment, this is a very good come out. The third one, I believe we will learn as we go through different situations. This is all new, so trial and error will be part of it. So, and then we probably need to add some additional members in the next 2 to 3 months, which we all agree on that. So that was a Survey Monkey link. If anyone, I think there was a total of 15 that filled it out. So obviously there was a couple that didn't, but that always happens. So if anyone wants it, either contact the Otis, myself. That's the website. It's still open. I'll just keep it open in case somebody didn't get it or had a problem with it. That's that in a nutshell. So appreciate all the feedback from everybody.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to approve which will be our minutes and the report survey from the training on Thursday, March 8th, February the 18th and 20th, moved by Hunter, second by Lori. Are there any other questions? Lieutenant Mason? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. One thing I like to add, if I can pull it back up. There was an email went out to all of the law enforcement members, and the email basically said, "Good morning. As you know, I'm always thinking out about initiatives to improve the relationship of law enforcement in our communities. What about taking our training to the high schools and junior high schools for the school year 21-22? And Bridget, who's the professor, Esserton at KCC, and here's a responding email. I was approached from KCC Corporate and Continuing Education Division about offering this training as an in-service for local professionals who need educational hours throughout the year. She talked about social workers and educators and others. I could see this as an opportunity to increase community professional knowledge about how law enforcement approaches these aspects of our profession. I'm
asking questions.
Thank you. Mary Ann Burke? Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. And I'll just be real quick. You know, out at Indian Oaks, we work with about 100 kids, ages 12 to 21, that have made some poor decisions upon poor decisions. And they've interacted with the police on numerous occasions, and thank goodness for the police, that they have our back and our support, and we can never thank them enough. I thoroughly enjoyed the training and feel an honor to be a part of this group. The time to prepare for crisis isn't in crisis. So I am really hopeful that this group can come together as needed, and let's hope we never are needed. But if we are, that training was phenomenal. And again, I wouldn't take anything away if I add to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brittany Ringo. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you.
I personally enjoyed this training, like with others. I think, you know, nothing needs to be taken away, so we can definitely, there's a lot of potential for us to add more to it, just to get the community involved. Me personally, in my, you know, walk of my career, I had the opportunity to interact with a lot of individuals that are in the mental health field, and I've had like one-on-one discussions with them, and I've always had to ask them the question, you know, how do you feel about authority? And they don't like authority, so this is an opportunity for, you know, the police departments to be able to give a different side of exactly what we do and why we do it, you know, what these laws mean. It's a wonderful way to inform our community. Through this training, it was really beneficial to me because, you know, you see a lot on social media and in the news that this depresses you and hurts you because it affects members. You know, myself, I'm an African American, so it affects members within my community, my family. I also have individuals within my family who serve in, you know, higher positions within, you know, police departments. So I see it on both sides, and I always wanted to get a better understanding. Every case by case is different. The way we handle it, we haven't had one here in this county, so thank God for that. But, you know, in preparation before, if we ever do, I feel like we have to like this together. I'm really glad that you put this together and invited me to be a part of it. So, with that, I won't go on forever, but, you know, I really enjoyed this training. I'm excited. I want more of it, you know, and I'm all hands on deck with you. However you guys want to be able to utilize me for this, I'm ready.
Thank you. Reggie Bell?
I guess one thing I would like to say is that it is an honor to be here. My boss, I guess, was supposed to come, but he actually, I wanted to come because he says I'm more in the community that he is from, because I'm born here, raised here, went to high school here, raised me all here, and I worked here, I coached here. I coached under this man right here. He taught me football, you know, and things like that. So I'm really blessed to actually be here, to know that the scene in a different light. I'm not gonna lie. I used to have my thoughts about cops. I'm not gonna lie, you know. I work with cops, you know, and I respect them, and everything like that. But you know, this last year things have been crazy and different. But after going to that training, the simulation, I mean, I told a few of my friends right now, man, they just want to get home like we do. And it's crazy. I see myself arguing with some of my friends because they still feel that way, but I don't. I feel like there are great cops out there. They just be put in situations that they split second decisions, and it's tough. Because in that simulation, I wanted to shoot dudes. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I feel bad. I'm like, how I see, and I was super nervous in that simulation. So I understand what you guys are going through, and all you guys, you know, all you officers, man, thumbs up, cause y'all, yeah, man, just stay safe and keep doing it, 'cause I'm proud to be here, seriously.
Myron Riley. I would say that Doug and Myron initially started with us way before we started formulating the document for the response team. Thank you, Myron.
Just a couple seconds, piggyback off this young man. The simulator is what got me. I didn't go first, I went last. I was seeing how everybody else was doing. So they wanted everybody to take it home. When it was my turn, I got to learn. I was nervous. So I said, this is what cops, they're nervous, and you gotta make a split-second decision instead of gun or cell phone. So it gives you a whole different look at what they go through. They're under pressure. They don't know if this guy's got a gun, a knife, cell phone, whatever. So I got a different respect for him now since I went to the simulator. And I want to say thank you.
We have a handful that couldn't make it today. We will personally hand deliver those and thank them for their participation.
Again, I'd like to thank Lieutenant Mason, Stephen Hunter, and Chief Swinford, and other members of our law enforcement team for putting this training together, and now it's in the hands of the response team. And so again, Chief Swinford, I guess we need to meet and pick a time and a date the committee can, the response team can meet, and for they can appoint their spokesperson for the crisis response team. So again, on behalf of the citizens and the members of the NAACP, our police, municipality, our state police, and the county sheriff department, I want to thank all those people who took time out of your schedule to attend those 2-day trainings. Again, thank you. So at this time, we'd like to get an update from our state's attorney, Jim Rowe, and any other law enforcement can chime in. Just to give it, we already know the bill was signed 1836, we know it was signed. So we just want to give an update on what some of your thoughts and how we're going to move forward on that. We know that was a major discussion during the training, so just give us a little update there.
Sure. So with the governor's signature now, it's as good as law. And there's still, there's some good components to it, and then there's a lot of areas that definitely need to be looked at again and hopefully amended. When I look at how that impacts us locally, the best example I can give everyone is just the changes, some small changes to language, for instance, in the felony murder statute. Everyone probably remembers the horrible murder of Joe Buck. He was a barber in our community, did all the back to school haircuts all the time, just a great guy. And he was robbed by two individuals, Danny and Ricky Kendrick. And in the course of that armed robbery, he was shot and murdered right in front of his house while his kids were inside. His kids heard the gunshots. His wife called him and said, "Be careful when you get home, they're shooting outside," not knowing it was her husband. With the changes to the felony murder statute, Danny and Ricky would not have been able to be prosecuted for the murder of Joe Buck. So at most, they might have been looking at an armed robbery charge. Those are just some real-life examples of how that legislation is going to impact not only our community, but communities all across Illinois. It's great to celebrate reform, but sometimes we need to take a deeper dive into what that reform looks like in the real world, in the courts and in the streets, and that's for people on both sides, really, victims and law enforcement. So. Some other things, the bail reform elements, again, you're not going to be able to hold someone for a random drive-by. They're going to be immediately released back into the community once their charges are processed. You have to wait for them to do a second drive-by to hold them in custody. Officers not being able to refer to their body cams. You know, if you ever had the opportunity to do a ride-along with a police officer, I would strongly encourage it. I was a big critic of law enforcement. When I would read police reports early on in this job, I'd say, well, they don't even have to color the guy's eyes in the report, right? All the little details that we need. And it's easy to be critical. And I did a ride-along with a Kankakee City officer at 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. Started at 10 p.m. It was call. He didn't take a lunch break or anything. Around 4 a.m., he parked in a parking lot and started to write the reports for the incidents that had happened at 10:15, and 10:30. So having to recall all those small details, it gave me a real perspective that I wouldn't have been able to appreciate without that experience. So telling an officer you have to wear a body cam but you can't refer back to it, that's more of a setup for the officer than any type of reform. So there are definitely some components of this bill that need to be amended, and hopefully those discussions will take place at least during the light of day, when people are awake, instead of this 3 and 4 a.m. omnibus bill that they shove down everybody's throat. So, I would encourage everyone to contact your state representative, contact your state senators. L.G. Sims, a state senator from the northeast corner of our county, who is the chief author of this bill. You should definitely call his office and express any concerns or congratulations for it. I suppose, you know, body cams. I like that reform. I think it's great if we could have body cam footage in every incident. Unfortunately, you know, there's no funding source for that. So there's a lot of two sides to every coin in this bill. But I encourage you to reach out to your elected representatives and demand that they pass some of these reforms.
Jim, I clearly agree with you regarding contacting our lawmakers. I've had a genuine conversation with Senator George, and I know we still have about a year before the bill take effect. However, we need to start looking at and mandating what type of amendments that we would like to see to this House Bill 3653. So again, if you can make those calls to Jackie Hobbs, who is our state representative, and Senator Joyce, who is our state senator. So I've already made those comments and started jotting down some of the amendments that we think, particularly with the mission of the NAACP, what we should not to say that we're not supporting police reform, but this particular bill have some other concerns that we have. So you can do that. So at this time,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
let me ask you this. I've just leaned over to Chief Swinford, and it's my understanding, and concert with what Jim has said, there may be trailer bills which will
Trailer bills, correct.
to be considered, and maybe as an organization, I know Sheriff Downing has been very active with the Illinois Sheriff's Association, and I think they have some concerns, but as an organization, probably we need to reduce some things to writing in terms of our specific recommendations, as you indicated, talking to Senator Joyce and Representative Jackie Hobbs.
Correct. So what we're gonna do, we still have about 10 minutes before we leave. We're gonna start to my left with Mr. Gessner, I'm sorry, to give up, Mr. Gessner here regarding, Mike is always sitting to my right, regarding the update with the Sheriff's Department regarding the body cams.
Sheriff, I'm sorry if you're watching this video.
Yeah.
I apologize, he's out of town today, so he's not able to make it to the meeting. Just on the Sheriff's Department side, Sheriff Downey's working with Lieutenant Mikowski, who's in charge of our IT division. We're working together, putting bids together for cameras. Our biggest thing is trying to find a vendor, a camera that basically can adapt to our IT. So it's not a foreign coming in, not able to work with. So, but we are in the process of getting those numbers. So that's where we're at on body cameras.
Okay, thank you. Chief Barber, Village of Bradley.
We've recently
Made the purchase of the body cameras. We're waiting for them to come in. We got a hard date of maybe May. That's what we're thinking. I don't know what the production's going to be on the cameras, since everybody needs to know. So
but we're hoping for May because we've been doing it pretty early. We're excited about that.
Thank you. Chief Cosman, City of Kankakee.
Yes, we're still investigating different avenues as of last week, talking with Lieutenant Bukowski in reference to what they're doing too. I mean, don't want to get into a situation where I might be buying what I think is the beta system, and everyone else is going with the VHS system, and it might not work. It'd be wise with being on my own. So I'm still checking into the area, and we're just looking to see what's the most cost-effective way of doing it.
Chief Swinford, do you have any update, or the village of Mantino?
Yeah, we've had them fully implemented for over a year, so we're up and running already.
Okay. Commander Hart, so you got anything from Illinois State Police?
I don't, it's a funding issue, so as soon as I know, I'll pass it on to you. I can say with the squad car videos, I remember when I was a local cop and those came in, and right now those are beneficial for us because we can look at video and see what actually happens. A lot of times we get complaints about things that aren't, it's not a complaint. So those are good for us. Body cams will do the same thing. So we're looking forward to it, but I don't have any updates yet.
All right, thank you. Are there any other closing comments before we can adjourn our meeting? Seeing none, can we get a motion to adjourn at 11:12:46?
We have all the attendees.
Yeah, moved by Lieutenant Mason, second by Chief Cosman. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Donna?
You'll get all